Hi, it's Lisa from Primal Transformations, and I want to talk to you about strategies for getting out of your own way and making your journey to transformation feel a lot easier, more successful, and a little bit lighter and more fun. So many of the people that I've worked with over the years have come to me feeling like all they need is more information. Information really is not, what's missing for most of us. It's the ability to take consistent action and to bring a lighthearted, curious attitude to the journey, in order to patiently move forward and learn about what's working and isn't working for us. So I want to talk about the 3 elements that are necessary for transformation, but that are, most of us need beefing up in at least 2 of those areas. So the kind of three-part triangle for transformation includes a willingness to take action, our attitude or our mindset, and good information. We definitely do need good information, but most of us put most of our energy and attention on accumulating more information, seeking the next quick fix, program, intermittent fasting, keto, that kind of thing, right? Instead of, what actually works for me. So what is not required for successful transformation is perfection or a perfect life situation. Many of us are waiting until that magical time when life calms down, after the holidays, after that vacation, after the kids go back to school, after the kids get out of school, right? There's never going to be a perfect time. And I would argue that starting, even when, things are hectic in your life, that's necessary because this needs to fit into your actual life if it's going to be sustainable. And overhauling all of your choices, that is a recipe for overwhelm and quitting. That's the old paradigm of I'm either on the wagon or off the wagon. I'm in or I'm out. I'm all fired up or I'm drifting and couldn't care less. No, we can start right here, right now, no matter what is going on, start getting aware of our choices, okay? So I want you to just take a deep breath as you listen to this information and notice if your brain starts to say, well, that's easy for her to say, or that can't work for me, or I've screwed up so many things in the past, she doesn't even get it. Oh, I get it. Believe me, I get it. That's why I do what I do, right? I spent, decades toiling through this and sitting in my own shame puddle and doing the work over and over again and not having any faith in myself and honestly letting it suck my, brain power dry. And my goal as a coach, that's why I do this work, is to help all of us be free of that. I want food, body, all of this to be in the lane it deserves in our life so that we can harness our passion and our energy to live our best life and focus on things that truly matter, right? I want all of this to eventually be running in the background, but we don't get there from the start, right? It's like, when we're in first grade, stressing about whether or not we'll be able to do 5th grade math. That's not helpful. And, we will have the confidence and skills when we get there, but we need to focus on today, calm down, so that we can eventually free ourselves from this prison, okay? All right, so I want you to think about today. As you're listening to this information, I want you to think about today. The 2 things that really keep us trapped are shame and regret from our past choices, whether that's the past 10 years, yesterday, or 10 minutes ago. That can keep us stuck. Or fear of the future. Will I be able to maintain this? Will I screw this up again? Will I regain the weight? Oh my gosh, by the time we have let our brain go both of those places, we don't have a lot left for what can I do this hour, this day, to start gently, curiously moving in the direction that I want to go in my life, starting to, create the life that I want to design for myself, right? We need to notice when those limiting beliefs are coming up or those fears for the future. We're not in the past, and, we have no business in the future. So notice that if that comes up for you as you're listening to this information. There's no race. Like, we need to be a lot more patient in order to hack this. Really, we do. We need a new paradigm, and that's what I do one-on-one with clients, and that's what I want you to help, work on for yourself. And you can, right? If you're saying to yourself, I can't, that's a perspective, right? That's a limiting belief. That's kind of our primitive brain trying to keep us from hurting our ego and, feeling ashamed again. So, I know that's been true for me, on so many occasions, whether it's in business or trying a new activity or sport. I have that narrative, well, I'm just not a person who, whatever. And it's like, okay, I'm going to notice that and I'm going to question that, right? I get to decide, not anyone else. Okay. So how do we start focusing a little bit more, a little less on accruing more information and knowledge, and a little bit more on the mindset piece and the taking consistent action piece? So the first thing is that deep breath, metaphorical or real, taking a deep breath and realizing there is no crisis here, that nobody died because you ate a donut, right? Having a little bit of a sense of humor about this and a little lighter, more curious, becoming the scientist in our own life. That's what this is about. So that's, that mindset piece is that we have to notice, gosh, am I bringing the attitude to this journey that, this is going to be so hard. I just can't even imagine how I'm going to do this. Everyone else gets to eat X, Y, and Z, and here I'm over, eating stuff that I don't really enjoy. Well, we need to shift that to say, I am choosing to relearn how to feed myself in a way that makes me feel amazing. No one's making me do this. I could go to Chick-fil-A if I wanted to. This is my choice because I deserve to feel nourished and proud of myself. And I want to avoid, the inevitable decline of, aging that we see everywhere, right? So staying in your power and saying, yeah, I'm choosing this, and, kind of tamping down on that inner rebel. But that's really important, because if you're coming to this with a negative attitude, with, oh gosh, how am I going to screw this up? How's this going to fail? That's, our brain hears that and it all becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's like, no, I'm just going to view this as a living experiment, see what happens, get some feedback, and then I'll tweak and adjust as I go based on what's working or what isn't working as well, right? Whether that's food prep, the kinds of meals you're making, your exercise strategy, whether or not you weigh yourself on the scale. Does that derail you? I have worked with clients that is not a tool that we use, because there's so much emotion that's loaded, into that scale. So, we'll use measurements, and sometimes I don't tell them what those say. I need to keep an eye on that, right? If that is a goal and it's, a valid goal, let me point that out, I don't work with people in that realm that, I don't work with anyone who comes in at 120 pounds and says they want to lose 10 pounds. That's not what I'm working on. But if I'm working with someone who has some metabolic syndrome or diabetes, and, weight loss is a legit goal, but it will derail them if maybe progress isn't happening quite as fast as they expected, then I don't share that information with them. For yourself, if that has tended to be an issue, just go by maybe once a week, do some photos, or, go by how your clothes are fitting. Honestly, if we are focusing on getting better at getting to know ourselves, being calm and conscious in our choices, I can almost guarantee you that if you genuinely have extra weight, that weight loss will likely be a side effect of that work that you're doing. You don't have to put a lot of energy there. You can notice, oh, this is interesting. This is kind of working. Wow, I'm feeling a little better. My brain is clearer, but not putting so much, emotional weight on the outcomes. Let's focus on being curious about how to make this a sustainable approach that you can see yourself continuing to do in some form or fashion for the next year or 5 years, 10 years, in a way that doesn't feel, heavy or restrictive. Okay. So that mindset piece is so huge. The next thing is, again, going back to noticing when these narratives come up where we're talking ourselves out of doing the work that we want to do, that we know will make us feel good. I want to clarify that, because when I say talking ourselves out of doing the work, that can sound like, boot camp, like someone's telling us to do it. No, this is what I know will serve me. So those are things like, I've already screwed up today, so whatever, I'll get back to this Monday or after the holidays or whatever, or what can this one little thing hurt? I've got so far to go. I can't even face it. Or you only live once. This is a celebration. Or this day was so busy, so hard. I've had to take the kids to all these practices. Forget it. I'm going through the drive-thru. I'm getting French fries and a double burger. I don't even care. I don't even care. Right? So that's one. Or if I'd only started this sooner, think how much further along that I would be. None of those are motivating. None of those are helpful. And again, when we're talking about just kind of gently rejiggering our life in the direction we want to go, those keep us stuck. They keep us in that endless disappointment and frustration loop. We can't trust ourselves. It's just that kind of, confirmation of what we thought about ourselves anyway. Well, I'm always somebody who screws things up. I do great eating well during the week, and on the weekend I always screw it up, right? It's just part of that narrative that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So, okay, what can you do instead? Ask yourself, what am I willing and able to do? What is my best choice this hour, this choice, this meal, this day? It doesn't matter what I did earlier. It doesn't matter what's possible for tomorrow. How can I ensure that I feel cared for, nourished, proud of myself? Not perfect, not, dogmatic or rigid, but it's staying with ourselves. It's not abandoning ourselves, saying, screw it, I don't even care anyway, because guess what? That's not honest. It's not even honest with ourselves, because we do care. We do care. And we deserve to feel good, regardless of the weight loss, but we deserve to not have joint pain and migraines and bloating and, our skin doing all kinds of crazy things, our hormones being all over the place. We deserve that. Just like anyone in our life that we care about, we would absolutely help them and think they deserved it. We deserve it too. So that's what this is about. This is not about how can I harness my willpower. No, it's how can I care for myself today? How can I nourish myself today? Again, that is a perspective shift that is a game changer. This is the one, that's the question that literally freed me out of this diet prison. So that is really important. Another one, this is a little more tactical, but in the evening, what can I do this evening to set myself up for success tomorrow? Whether that's tidying things up, getting your clothes ready, making a breakfast casserole, packing lunch and snacks for tomorrow. Now, I want you to be careful here, because I want you to go one step further and say, is the food that I'm planning on taking with me or having for breakfast, is that food that I'm genuinely looking forward to eating? Or is that going back into that perfection and over restriction? Is this you're going to unpack your lunch and say, this makes me feel sad, you're looking at what everyone else is eating. So we need to start learning what are kind of within that real food spectrum, what are the meal configurations that really make me feel good, make me excited about my food, but also lead me in the direction, regardless of what your goal is, right? Whether it's gaining muscle, balancing your blood sugar, losing weight, how can I make that meal that's aligned towards that goal. Maybe it's a fat loss friendly meal, but how can I add enough strategic carbs and enough strategic fats and herbs and spices that I am excited about opening my lunch? So that's what you can do, on a tactical level, regardless of the day that you had. And that is a loving, nourishing approach, right? That's not about, oh, now I have to take up my whole evening getting things ready for tomorrow. No, you're literally giving your tomorrow self a gift. And then tomorrow you can look back and go, gosh, I'm really happy that I got all that ready and I didn't have to scurry around, frantic on a busy morning. I mean, it's just really fun. The last question that I encourage you to ask yourself is, what were my wins today? Where did I win? What we tend to focus on are, we cherry pick all the ways that we didn't nail it, we didn't finish our to-do list, we could have done better, harder, more, right? And that has motivated literally 0 people ever, that approach, okay? So that can feel like letting yourself off the hook, but what's interesting is when you focus on the wins, you're actually motivated, to get up tomorrow and go, oh, well, this is fun. Your brain is excited. Our brain wants the reward, right? Remember, our brain is always trying to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And if our brain thinks, oh gosh, tomorrow night, no matter what I do, what I show up for, all I'm going to do is berate myself and belittle myself, our brain's not going to be up for changing anything, right? We just can't keep doing that. It's not motivating. So I hope this is helpful. Again, all of this is a practice. None of this is one and done. You're not always going to get this right. I don't always get this right. This is why I talk about, all of this often, right? It's not as sexy. Again, it's talking about, all you need to do is intermittent fast and have this number of carbs and all of your, goals will be magically achieved. But this is the work. This is how transformation happens. And I know, because I have worked with dozens of people one-on-one who came to me completely defeated, completely stuck, certain that nothing will ever work for them. The weight will never come off. They will never have peace with food. They will never be comfortable in their body. And it's pretty magical to see what happens on the other side. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud to be able to partner with people and be that catalyst for change. But this is where change happens. People always kind of tease me that I'm like the bait and switch coach, that they come to me, for a paleo anti-inflammatory diet, and what we focus on is self-compassion, mindset, getting to know, what do I like to do? Where can I find joy and fun and play in my life so that I'm not trying to get all the goodies from, pizza and ice cream. This is how they're able to shift that and really start to get back on their own team with themselves. So I hope this was helpful. I'd love to know your feedback, and I'd really like to know how you take action on this. Not whether you agree with it, this makes sense. No, we have enough information. What are you going to do with this tonight, after you watch this, tomorrow? How are you going to use this? Maybe you need to write down a couple of little things on here, on a note card that, a couple of these questions that you can ask yourself for those moments when your attention is drifting and you're telling yourself, you know what, I don't even care anyway. Today is just a write-off. I don't even care. So maybe you write down a couple of things and have those with you to remind yourself, or put them in your notes app or something. So, all right. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll look forward to talking to you next time.